If you're anything like me, you have an unwavering conviction in your ability to succeed, but sometimes it feels like things just aren't going your way. You know, things are going up, things going down. Maybe you've seen some success, maybe you've seen no success, but your vision is big and you want to keep moving towards that. And this year was a life-changing year for me. I generated over $4 million with my e-commerce brand, which looking back would have been an absolute dream before. And through doing that, I encountered a lot of ups, I encountered a lot of downs, but ultimately I came off the back end of this year a lot more financially secure than I was before, and that obviously left me with a lot of lessons. So today is currently December 31st, 2025, and I think I'm gonna yap a little bit. Beginning of this year, I've made a video about it before, but I was honestly going kind of broke. You know, like I'd made a bunch of money, I'd spent a lot of money, I'd obviously gained a lot of experience. And just to preface, I don't regret spending my money whatsoever. I believe that money is abundant and you kind of need to be able to like make money and then come all the way back down to zero and then make money again to realize just how abundant money actually is. So I'm very grateful for that. You know, I knew that detachment to money is just an illusion. Thinking that the money that I have now is the money that I'm always gonna have or that I won't make more. It's just an illusion. And seeing that contrast of being rich, being poor, being rich again, really affirmed that to me. So that's kind of the first lesson, is like, money's abundant. Don't be afraid to spend money, because you're only gonna gain experience and it's only gonna build your character, which is gonna make you a better vessel to make more money again in the future. But I started off the year broke, but I very quickly became quite financially stable again. And this was because I found an ecom brand idea, which I just had so much conviction in. It was like what someone would probably call a gut feeling. I just knew that if I put my time and energy into this, it would work. Like, it was just an unwavering conviction. So I ordered the product in, made some ads, threw them into the ads manager, and boom, it just took off instantly. It was instantly profitable. And in the first month of January, I was able to scale this brand to around $60,000 in revenue. I think $67,000, $68,000 in revenue, probably $20,000, $30,000 in profit. So boom, just like that, I had money again. And the lesson that I can take from that is that anytime that you feel some level of conviction where you feel like this is the right thing to do, go all in, move with speed, and just do what you need to do to get that business idea or whatever it is off the ground and running and get the momentum flowing. Because maybe it wasn't the right idea, and then that's fine, because then you would have been able to move past that idea and onto the next idea even quicker. Like, a lot of people stall on ideas and it's just so pointless, because cool, you might think it's the right idea, but it actually might not be the right idea. But the only way you're gonna really know is if you obviously think about it first for 1 or 2 days and then dive straight in, figure it out, you know, and then move on. Don't be attached. Like I said, don't be attached to money, don't be attached to opportunities either. Really try and embody the concept of abundance in all aspects of your life, because abundance will lead to detachment, because you know that, okay, if I lose this, I can just get it again. You know, if this opportunity doesn't work, I can just get another opportunity. And then really takes the pressure off of you and allows you to actually operate from a place that feels aligned with you and from an efficient place, you know, because you're not trying too hard, you're not assigning too much importance to things. When you assign importance to things, it only creates a gap between you and it. It's like excess space. It's like, it's really important for me to make $10,000. That makes $10,000 seem like a very big and grand achievement. Whereas if it's not really super important to you, you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna make $10,000. You don't really think much of it. Chances are you're probably gonna flow to that outcome much easier, because you haven't created this big gap between you and that goal, or you and that achievement. So detachment is absolutely essential for, I think, honestly, achieving everything in life. Sorry, detachment. Yeah, so that's how the year started off. And then we really just kept scaling from then. Next month, I think we did 200K. The month after that, 350K. The month after that, 400 and something K. The month after that, 576K. That was April. And then May, unfortunately, things came crashing down a little bit. We experienced some issues, and honestly, it affected me. You know, I had these very big goals in my mind that I wanted to achieve, and I was well on my way to achieving them, getting closer and closer and closer. To be fully transparent, I wanted to make $100,000 profit in a month, and I was getting closer and closer and closer to hitting that goal. And then we just started having really bad months within the business, and that affected me mentally. You know, I started having thoughts of, damn, like, am I ever gonna hit my goal? I'm actually cut out for this life. And looking back, that was purely just because I was attached to those goals. And then I started having those thoughts, which only lead to negative outcomes in your life, you know. So what you focus on grows, and what you focus on will reflect in your life. Like, a lot of people need to understand that reality is what you experience. How you are internally is how you're going to experience reality, not the opposite way around. You know, how reality is doesn't affect you, how you are affects reality. Simple way to look at this concept is the analogy of a mirror doesn't smile before you do. You know, you have to smile first before the mirror actually reflects that. And life is exactly the same. So if you're constantly focusing on an aspect of your life that you don't like, and you associate with that identity and with that experience, then you're only going to notice more of that and attract more of that into your life. So whatever you don't like about your life, think about the opposite side of it. So if I was saying, damn, like, am I really cut out for it? I'm gonna only notice and think about all of the times where maybe I underperformed, or I wasn't the operator that I needed to be, or I wasn't the business owner that I needed to be. But if you think about the polarity of that, so if I just thought things are going my way, I am well on my way to my goals, then I'm gonna notice and identify with all of the times where I did operate how I needed to operate, and things were going my way, and you know, things happened to me which were for the good. And what people need to understand about this is that different polarities or states of being filter out the other one. So if I'm only focusing on the negative, it's going to completely filter out the positive in my life, and I'm not even going to think that the positive exists. You know, that's why when people feel unloved, it's extremely hard to even comprehend feeling loved. Or when people feel broke, it's extremely hard to comprehend what it feels like to actually feel rich. But realistically, everyone has experiences where they feel rich and when they feel broke. You know, when it's all relative. You know, when you had the most money in your bank account, you felt rich. You were able to identify with that feeling. But if you're only identifying with and focusing on the feeling that you felt when you were broke, you're gonna completely forget that you ever even felt rich. You're gonna completely forget what it even feels like to feel that way. But if you only focus on what it feels like when you felt rich, you're only gonna feel richer and richer and richer, and feel that more consistently. So, big lesson for me, you know. Just focus on that life is always going my way, because then I'll always start to identify the times when life is going my way, and life will just continuously keep going my way, and that will create a path for me to walk to get to where I want to get to. So yeah, I had to detach from the numbers, detach from the money, and I had to more just hold myself to a standard of the type of person that I wanted to come, and use those goals as North Stars, you know, to just guide me in the direction of where I need to be. Now, that comes down to self-mastery, because how can I expect to control the reality that I want to achieve and get to that reality that I want to by embodying the traits of the person that needs to get there if I cannot control myself? So self-mastery is number one, and the way that you can embody self-mastery and understand it is very simple. It's literally just your ability to follow through on your word. If you say you're going to do something, you show up and you do it. And your brain will keep notes. The more that you show up and you do what you said you were going to do, the more your brain trusts yourself, the more the universe trusts you, the more you trust yourself to show up as you need to be, and the more then you will consequently show up as the person that you need to be, because you start to believe more and more that you are that person. So it's the same for the opposite. The more that you don't do what you say you're going to do, the more that your brain keeps notes of that and sees yourself as someone who doesn't do what they want to do, as someone that pleases others, as someone that puts others before themselves, as someone that succumbs to their cravings and comfort, you know? So self-mastery in my eyes isn't doing the hard things permanently, you know, David Goggins style, go on a 50-kilometer run or whatever the fuck, you know? It's simple. And it can be exercised in small manners. You know, I found myself being very late for things this year. I told people I was going to be there at 5 o'clock, I was there at 5:10, and I didn't like that aspect of myself, and I found myself being like, yeah, damn, I'm always fucking late. Why am I always late? So first I'm going to detach from that identity, and I'm going to say I'm always on time, and then I'm going to follow through on my word. When I say I'm going to be there at 5, I'm going to be there at 5, and then it's just going to become easier and easier and easier to actually maintain that behavior and that identity. So self-mastery is imperative, to be honest. But I also found myself throughout this year putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on myself, and it kind of took away from my ability to really just enjoy life. I found myself not being okay with just relaxing a little bit, feeling like I need to work the whole time, feeling like I can't chill. And that led to me, even making heaps of progress this year. Unfortunately, not really having too much enjoyment either. And that's something which I'd really like to change this upcoming year, because at the end of the day, I know more money's not going to make me happy. I know that self-mastery is. So if I say I want to enjoy life, then I need to allow myself to enjoy life and balance that perfectly, or just balance that however, and not put too much pressure on myself with also then getting to work and doing what I need to do, So that was a bit of a yap session, but I hope that there's some golden nuggets that, whoever's watching this can take away. I guess the core principles that I kind of touched on was detachment, changing your identity, and self-mastery. And that is honestly all that I feel like you need to achieve your goals, to achieve the life that you want. So guys, have an absolutely amazing 2026. I'm gonna try and actually post a bit more, I think, this year. One of the regrets that I had was that I didn't film enough, and I really enjoy filming, and I didn't film enough. So I'm gonna be filming this year, 2026, so you guys can expect some content. But take some time to reflect on the year, guys. Remember, what you focus on is the truth. So there's definitely good, there's definitely some bad, but reflect on it and take a lesson from it, and then turn the bad into good through that lesson, and look back on the year and be like, damn, I may not have achieved my goals, but I may have, learned a lot of stuff. I may have achieved experience. I may have grown a lot. And if you didn't, take the lesson, and apply it for this year, because we're always living in the now. Don't get stuck in the past. Just focus on what you can do now. Have a good one. Much love.